To the Minister of Finance, is it correct that Treasury was in the Prime Minister's office, quote, week after week, month after month, telling him South Canterbury Finance was going bankrupt?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, yes, it is correct. Both the Prime Minister and I received regular updates from Treasury on South Canterbury Finance. The advice was for some time that the company was in difficulty and that there was a slim chance that South Canterbury could trade its way out of its difficulties, although for quite a long period that was always possible. In the event they were not able to raise capital or trade their way out, South Canterbury Finance was placed in receivership in August 2010 and payments were made to deposit holders under the Crown Retail Guarantee Scheme implemented by the then Labor government.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, to the Minister, after receiving these warnings, according to the Prime Minister, from the day he was elected, week after week, month after month, did the government put South Canterbury Finance into statutory management by mid-2009 to insulate the taxpayer from risk? And if not, why not?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, the process for statutory management is a different one done by recommendation of the Securities Commission. They did not make that recommendation. But as a general point, because of the potential size, because of the size of South Canterbury Finance, and a belief that there was always a chance that they could trade their way through, the government ensured that there was every opportunity for South Canterbury to fix its own problems before there was a call on the taxpayer. As it's turned out, it appears that the company was in so much trouble, even by early 2009, that whatever we did wouldn't have made much difference.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, after receiving such warnings from the day he was elected, week after week, month after month, did the government end the Crown guarantee to South Canterbury Finance to insulate the taxpayer from risk, or did it agree to renew the guarantee, and if so, when?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, South Canterbury at all times remained in compliance with the original deed of guarantee. Now, that deed of guarantee was, the member will be familiar with, because it was his government that drew it up, and actually South Canterbury was signed into that guarantee actually on the morning of the day the current government was sworn in. So it was not a decision made by us, it was made by Treasury, consistent with the scheme that member put in place.
Joe, a point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Speaker, I asked the Minister whether he had made a decision to renew the company's guarantee, and instead he answered that Treasury admitted it in the first...
Remember what I've said about members resuming their seat immediately. If that was all the member had asked in his question, his point of order would have been fine, but he preceded that part of the question with another part, and the Minister answered the other part of the question. Joe Goodhue.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My supplementary question to the Minister of Finance. Not at all. What advice did the government receive on options to recapitalise South Canterbury Finance and the impact these would have had on the taxpayer?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, both Treasury and their independent advisers dealt with a number of propositions over a period of time, and their advice was consistent. All would have resulted in extra cost and risk to the taxpayers, and none of them were recommended to the government. And anyone who wants to check this out can look through the over 100 documents that have been published on the Treasury and Reserve Bank websites. I'll just take one piece of advice from Corda Mentha, who said, and I quote, "SCF promotes the offer as crystallising the Crown's loss." This is referring to one of the offers. This is not correct. The proposal does, however, cap the Crown's recovery. In essence, the Crown carries the downside risk under this structure but has no ability to access any potential upside. In short, the government would have been mugs to accept any of the proposals that were put to it.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, what did he do to save taxpayers $1.2 billion when auditors Ernst & Young in April 2010, 6 months before South Canterbury Finance went under, stated, quote, South Canterbury Finance's directors' assumptions contained uncertainties regarding the adequacy of funding and liquidity, sufficiency of capital and compliance with regulatory requirements in its trust deed and its trustee waivers. And did the government renew the South Canterbury Finance guarantee after that warning?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there's nothing in that was news. A lot of that was known by mid-2009. I just want to remind the member the guarantee he put in place did not guarantee the company, it guaranteed the depositors. It was a deposit guarantee scheme. So the government's job, bearing in mind we had an obligation of $1.6 billion to the depositors, the government's job to give the company every opportunity to trade through in order to meet its obligations to depositors before the taxpayers. If we had leapt in earlier, there would have been no opportunity for the company to fix its own problems.
Question. Is this a supplementary question?
Supplementary.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Will the Minister release in full the offered documents from Permanent Investments, Ngāi Tahu and the New Zealand Superannuation Fund that were declined in September 2010? And if not, how can he justify his claim that it was prudent to decline this offer that would have limited taxpayer liability to around $500 million instead of the $1.2 billion and climbing so far taken to book?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the reason the government won't issue the full offer documents is because those offers are made under confidentiality agreements, and if we release those documents, we'll never be able to do business with anyone again. Secondly, the member is simply wrong about the proposition. That proposition was scrutinised by officials. His $500 million figure is wrong. It, like other propositions, was going to ensure that the buyers made money, the Crown took all the losses, and a court at Kortamenta would make the same conclusion about that as other offers. It meant downside for the Crown and no upside and should not be accepted.
Question number... point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
To table a document from the New Zealand Treasury showing as of 23 March 2010 Treasury's estimate of liability in South Canterbury Finance was $696 million, a far cry from the
Order.
1.2
Leave us
billion.
to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection.
Okay.
Is this another point of order?
Mr. Speaker, yes, point of order, Mr. Speaker. I seek leave to table a document from the New Zealand Treasury quantifying in February 2010 the South Canterbury Finance liability at $696 million and showing the derivation of that amount.
Leave us to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection.
Mr. Speaker, I seek
another
leave...
point of order?
Point of order,
the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to table a document from the New Zealand Treasury which sets out a number of resolution options for the government, none of which conveyed an estimate of liability anywhere near the liability that has actually come to pass, Mr. Speaker.
What's the date of that document?
Mr. Speaker, it's undated.
Leave is sought to table an undated Treasury document. Is there any objection? There is objection. Order is first point.
Speaker, point of order.
The Honourable
Mr.
David
Speaker,
Cunliffe.
I seek leave to table a Treasury file note recounting a meeting which took place between Treasury and the Reserve Bank on the 3rd of August 2010, which shows the debate around whether South Canterbury Finance should have been placed into statutory management.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no
Point
objection.
of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable David
Mr. Speaker,
Cunliffe.
I seek leave to table a Treasury report dated the 3rd of August 2010, which updates the Minister on proposals made that would have limited the Crown's liability to debt under that.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection. Point of order, the Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, as I said in answer to a question, all of these documents are available on the Treasury and Reserve Bank websites, and generally you've drawn a bit of a line between those things that are readily publicly available, such as press clippings or items from government websites. We could go through the whole 100 if the member wants to table them, but they are all available on the website.
I think it's a pretty sensible point the member makes. I'm not to know when documents are available on departmental websites when members seek to table them, but those who are particularly interested in following issues clearly can. I think if those documents are in fact obtained from I'll seek the member's guidance. If those documents are from the Treasury website, then I think we've taken sufficient time tabling them.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, under your ruling, the earlier point of orders plural were put to the House. On some occasions members objected and on some occasions they don't. I just seek your advice, sir. For those where members did not object at the time, why would we be revisiting that leave of the House?
And my advice is very simple. Members should use their discretion when seeking to take the time of the House to table documents. Had the member tabled one or two documents from a website, there may have been no objection to it. But since he's taken considerable time of the House to table a number of documents available on the Treasury website, members are clearly not happy about that. And I must say, as Speaker, I'm not happy about that either. And that's why we won't be considering more documents from the Treasury website today.
Mr Speaker...
Honourable David Cunliffe, is this a point of order?
Mr Speaker, if it was a question of timeliness, speaking to your point of order, why did the Minister of Finance only leap to his feet after I'd concluded?
Order. That's unnecessary. The House accepted in good faith the members seeking leave to table a number of documents. It went on for a considerable period of time, and I think it became unreasonable. And since that, if the documents were all documents unavailable to the public, I'd have no objection. But they are, since they are readily available to the public, I think we are taking unnecessary time in the House. Question number 8, Alan Peachy.
Mr Speaker, question to the Minister of Education. What reports has she received regarding the building of schools at Hobsonville Point?
The Honourable Anne Tully.